Cheers, guys. Epix911, welcome to the Elitist Geek VR news for August 14th. And the usual just quick preamble before we jump into the news. Just some stuff from the comments section. Before I talk about that, though, probably a Vorpex video coming up shortly. I'm going to look at a couple of games in that. I noticed that it's a program that I said I was going to go back to and I didn't. So I want to kind of revisit that program. And I'm probably going to do it from the point of view of the Vive. I could for the Rift as well, but I'll probably do it for the point of view of the Vive. Just because there's a couple of games on there that I think people are going to be curious about that I will showcase. And in other parts of the comment section, there was one post from viewer Mr. Lowskill, and it was a link that he shared with me to a guy who has basically made voice attack work on the Vive, the target render multiplier, that global super sampling setting, using voice attack to change that. Now, personally, I wasn't aware that you could use voice attack to change config file values. So I think that's really freaking cool. In the process of figuring out how that works exactly. And when I do, I will probably do another updated voice attack video because I use it in all kinds of other cool ways that go beyond the video I did with Elite Dangerous. It is just an awesome program. If you've got a mic set up at all, it's a great program to do all kinds of awesome computer stuff. Most people use it for Elite Dangerous, right? And Star Citizen, stuff like that, which is a shame because there's so much more potential for voice attack, especially with virtual reality. So I'll highlight that along with that content as well into just a standalone video dealing with voice attack and virtual reality. Now, in the news, there was an interview on Shacknews.com with Marty Stratton, who's the executive producer at id Software, asking him about Doom VR, so getting into some of the nitty gritty, right? One of the cool things that he shared was the collaboration that is happening between his company and Bethesda. Now, Bethesda is probably one of my favorite game companies of all time, right? They won me over with the extremely buggy Arena, Daggerfall, Morrowind. They have provided me with thousands of gaming hours of Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim modded, right? The fact that they always release mod tools for their games is just win-win because it adds so much longevity. And I forgive them a lot of their bugginess because they tend to be buggy because of the complexity of the game, not because they're just horribly bad programmers, although I'm sure there's some examples of that, right? But over time, and thanks to fans and fan patches, the game gets pretty damn stable. And I know I've run cases like there's one called Perfectly Modded Skyrim with 800 mods, and it's just as stable as the standalone, right? It's all in kind of how you do it. But he confirmed, that there's a lot of collaboration. He didn't get into the specifics, but having two AAA publishers like id and Bethesda working together, with virtual reality stuff, and even if that collaboration is sharing library routines, right? That's a win-win for both because it means a lot less R&D or things they just may never have discovered, right? Sharing that kind of stuff is awesome. Doesn't mean that they're not still competitors. Of course they are, but they're helping their bottom line by being able to get into that, virtual reality content more streamlined, right? More efficiently by figuring out stuff and sharing it between them. So hopefully other AAA publishers are going to do that. I know there's indie companies that do that. And in my opinion, that's just win-win for everybody. Consumer, dev company, publisher, you name it. And also, just as a quick added, there was a little bit of the drama in there in that the interviewer, of course, he had to bring up John Carmack, right? And I thought the way id handled that was really good. Acknowledged his genius and basically said that his desire for VR was something that was indeed shared at the company. And you know what? Knowing what I know about John Carmack, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, the guy has obsessions, and when he gets obsessed about something, it is pretty much all consuming. It's always been that way. It's probably always going to be that way. And to me, honestly, the position of CTO at Oculus was not shocking at all, right? Not at all. So the next article had to do, it's a Business Insider article with using virtual reality for disaster response. And I know it's a little bit of a, heavier, kind of boring, dry topic. It's not VR game related. I just thought it was cool because virtual reality is benefiting. Another example where it benefits in ways that people don't always predict, right? Even me on this channel, I've talked about using it for training, tourism. We've seen medical uses for it. But to also see it be used by disaster recovery organizations, right? Crime fighting organizations or law enforcement, I guess is a better way to put it. Like the LAPD using a system called Hydra, right? And New York City disaster recovery firm or organization using a system that basically has a virtual representation of New York City, right? So Manhattan and boroughs, etc., so that the trainees can actually, do scenarios where they're traveling through the city, getting to bottlenecks. What if this bridge is down? What do we do? Those types of things. Because that is super important. And probably the main reason I'm talking about that tonight is because I live in a city where that would be critically important. We are basically in, one of the highest earthquake danger zones on the planet, right? There is basically a line that tears right through where I live and goes right through California and right on up through Alaska, right? Where it's very earthquake prone, and San Francisco, LA bear the most of that. But Seattle, Vancouver, Portland, we all get a lot of earthquakes, and there will be a big one day. So being able to respond, and in Vancouver's case, the Fraser River goes everywhere through the city of Vancouver, so the greater Vancouver area. So it's important that disaster recovery organizations can do those drills, right? Because trust me, I go through over some of these bridges that on the Fraser River, and they get really congested. So if there was a disaster during like rush hour in Vancouver, wow, planning would be that much more important, because rush hour here literally just grind stuff to a halt, right? So just another example of where VR, can be innovative, right? And not just about games, although that's my main reason for it. Now, the next one from Bloomberg.com talks about virtual reality for live events, how it enhances or can enhance live events. And Brad Allen, who is an executive chairman at Next VR, talked about using 360-degree stereoscopic footage from concerts, live events, but becoming better versed at capturing that live feel, right? And what I mean by that is I'm a guy who loves concerts, music concerts, right? I've got some bands that I never miss when they come to town because they are just such awesome freaking live shows. And the memories I have from those shows, they are pure nostalgic, awesome memories, right? Because it's more than just the song. It's the experience of being there, having one of your favorite bands play these songs, often changing them up live so they don't necessarily sound like the recording, right? And just being able to hear the voices, the experience of being part of a crowd, you just can't describe it, right? For me, it's an awesome thing. Blu-ray versions of that are pretty good, but they don't come close to capturing that feel, right? That powerful nostalgia of being there and the memory of having been there. So 360-degree content and stereoscopic technology, and not just doing a capture, but trying to capture it as if somebody was there, right? That feeling of being in the front row at a music show, right on the outskirts maybe of a mosh pit, right? Or, hey, a peaceful freaking concert, but you're maybe in the nosebleeds, hearing the music and feeling the energy of the crowd. That's all stuff that I think can be captured with this new medium and delivered on virtual reality HMDs. It's probably an area I would build a library up around, right? Concerts, live shows that you just can't beat with 2D formats. You just can't. And obviously, smells and things you're not going to be able to capture, at least not yet. But at some point, I wouldn't even put them, past being able to do that. That's probably something somebody's going to figure out. And speaking of live events, Comcast, there's an article on Philly.com where they have talked about cleaning up a lot of the broadcasting for the Rio Olympics. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the Olympics anymore, and especially not the summer ones. I'm more of a winter Olympics kind of guy, obviously being from Canada. It's pretty no-brainer with ice hockey, right? But yeah, Comcast has been fielding a lot of complaints stemming from content in Rio having all kinds of technical issues. Now, apparently they've addressed a lot of those issues, and the stuff from now until the end of the games is going to be better. And you can revisit some of that footage, like the opening ceremonies, and have a better experience. But again, this isn't firsthand by me. This is just via the article. So mention that as it ties into the previous one. And we're just going to get to see, we're going to get to witness how this stuff improves, from now into 2, 3, 4 years from now. I think it will be night and day. I think it's going to do a fantastic job of capturing and being the closest experience to actually having been there, which is awesome. And, just last case in point on that is you talk to people who are at Led Zeppelin concerts and they have trouble with other bands even coming close because they were such a powerful, awesome, magical act in the 70s, right? Changing up songs live, sounding like nobody had sounded before, right? So you can capture even 50% of that. You got a technology that's going to stick around for a while. All right, guys, that's it for news for this Sunday. Like I said, probably that Vorpex video coming up. As always, guys, cheers, and we will see you on the flip side.